None can stand against the Serpent Lords.
You will never wake the dreamer. The coils of death will crush you.
What's going on, classic fans? Skunk here again with some more vanilla flavored deliciousness for you. Since I had a lot of fun making my RFC video, and you guys really seem to love my leveling tips video, I want to make a dungeon video that was fun to make and could be super informative too. For this one, I'm going to focus on a classic vanilla dungeon, the Wailing Caverns. The Wailing Caverns was discovered by a night elf druid named Nerlex. It was a vast underground oasis filled with natural steam vents that produced an eerie wail, which gave the area its namesake. Nerlex was interested in the caverns with the hopes that the underground springs could bring vitality and lushness to the dry climate of the Barrens. A task such as this meant Nerlex had to harvest magical energies from the Emerald Dream to bring the true bounty of the caverns to the region. As Nerlex used his own body as a conduit for the dream, somewhere along the way it turned into a horrific nightmare. Nerlex was trapped in this nightmare, and it began to manifest itself in the physical realm. The energies tainted the denizens of the cave, turning into a haven for monstrous, bloodthirsty creatures. The followers of Nerlex, in turn, were corrupted as well, morphed into wicked druids of the Fang. As a player, you're tasked with delving deep into the bowels of the cave, defeating its inhabitants and cleansing the caverns of the foul taint of the nightmare. You ready, classic fans? Let's get started. Now, before we start our adventure, let's get some preparations out of the way. Naturally, you'll want to repair, stock up on ammunition if you need it, and clear out as much bag space as you can. With a multitude of quests we'll be picking up and their corresponding items, as much as 8 bag slots will be taken up just from quest items. Wailing Caverns is also full of a lot of bind and equip items, and some pretty valuable vendor trash as well, so make sure your bags are as empty as they possibly can be. The first quest you'll be picking up is Leaders of the Fang in Thunderbluff. Keep in mind that this particular quest requires you to finish a chain, which starts with one called the Baron's Oases, which you pick up in the crossroads. You'll do a couple follow-up quests involving the Oases, which will end up with a quest called Altered Beings. Finish that quest and you'll be directed to Hamel Rune Totem in Thunderbluff. He then in turn will direct you to finally to Narrow Wildmane, who will give you the quest Leaders of the Fang. This quest requires you to enter the caverns and kill the 4 corrupted Fang Lords and retrieve magical gems from their corpses. While you're in Thunderbluff, travel to Spirit Rise and pick up a quest from Apothecary Zama called Serpent Bloom. Once you've grabbed that, head over to Ratchet. The first quest from Ratchet is called Smart Drinks. It is given by Meebok Mizirix. It requires you to finish a prerequisite quest requiring 5 raptor horns, but that one's pretty easy. The second quest is called Trouble at the Docks from Crane Operator Bigglefuzz. Once you have those, fly back to the crossroads and head to the caverns. Now if you watched my Zone Spotlight video on the Barrens, you know just where the last 2 quests are. They're given by 2 NPCs in a secret cave above the cavern opening, so work your way around to the top of the mountain and jump down into the cave. Pick up Deviate Hides and Deviate Eradication, and now you've got a quest log bulging at the spine. Now you just gotta get yourself a group. Now your group composition doesn't necessarily make or break you in this one, but I will say that having a mage for some hard CC is amazing here. Most of the trash mobs inside of the caverns are pretty innocuous, your usual high HP, high damage elite creatures, but one mob in particular, the Druids of the Fang, can be really obnoxious, especially if you pull more than one. They use a spell called Druid Slumber, which can take a party member out of action for as much as 15 seconds. If you get 2 more of these guys casting it on your party, things can go downhill really fast, especially if your healer gets locked down. Having an off healer such as a shaman or a druid can also help in emergency situations, especially at the very last boss of the instance. Other than that, group composition isn't that big of a deal. You guys ready to rock? Let's get to it. Now one of my favorite things about Wailing Caverns is you can complete many of the quests even before stepping through the instance portal. Most notably, the objective of Trouble at the Docks is held by a goblin named Mad Meglish, and he has a couple places he can spawn near the mouth of the cave. The spot he's most likely to appear is at the end of a small side tunnel, a short way into the cave. He's partially stealthed, so you might not see him at first until you get really close. His only ability is Smoke Bomb, which is more annoying than anything. Kill him and take the bottle of 99-year-old port to complete the quest. If he's not there, you can check the end of the adjacent tunnel, or the little dent in the cave wall near the opening of the cave. As you kill your trash on the way into the cave, you'll see the start dropping Deviate Hides for the quest of the same name. Be sure to loot all the corpses, as most creatures other than the slimes will drop the hides. You need 20, so keep your eyes open. Speaking of slimes, you want to kill these as well because they drop the Wailing Essences, which are needed to complete the quest Smart Drinks. You also see small purple and green flowers on the floor of the cave. That's your Serpent Bloom, and they can be pretty easy to miss. They respawn outside the instance, but don't respawn inside of the instance. If everyone in the party has a quest, it's going to be cutthroat, as everybody needs 10, and there certainly aren't 50 spawn points in the dungeon. Because of this might be a tough one to finish in one run, and it might give you a reason to run this dungeon again. Fight your way into the cave and you'll reach a point where the tunnel opens up into a huge cavern. Work your way down and the instance portal will be in plain view at the bottom. Once inside, you'll see an NPC named Disciple of Naralex. Be sure to talk to him, as he'll give you a free druid buff, something that will be obviously super helpful. It's also important to remember him at the end of the instance, as he grants an escort quest and is the key to summoning the hardest boss in Wailing Caverns. As you make your way down the first tunnel and reach the end, again it will open up into a large chamber, crawling with raptors, slimes, and druids of the Fang. This is also where the first boss of the instance spawns. Lady Anacondra can be in one of 4 spawn locations on the upper balcony, so clear around the top in a clockwise motion. It's also important to clear as many of the mobs from this area as possible, as the escort quest NPC will be walking this direction. If he dies, you fail the escort and you can't summon the last boss, so keeping him alive is critical. Lady Anacondra herself is very easy, as she, like the rest of the Fang Lords, are essentially just named druids of the Fang. She has a sleep spell she'll use, as well as a small heal and a poison attack. Kill her and take her gem for the leaders of the Fang quest. 1 down, 3 to go. Once you've cleared a path for the escort and killed the first boss, drop down to the river and start heading west. Here you'll probably run into a named turtle named Kresh. He has no abilities and he's the quintessential tank and spank, but he drops a shield that could be useful for your tank. Head west through the water and fight your way through the slimes, druids, and snakes. At the end of the long pathway, you'll find the second Fang Lord, Lord Cobrahn. He's a pushover. Take him out and steal his gem. After he's down, you can walk to the edge of the cliff and hop down the small outcroppings, and you'll see you're at the beginning of the path and close to the first main chamber. Double back and head east, walking the river and passing under the area that held the first boss. Keep walking along the river through another open chamber and you'll start working your way through the most arduous part of the dungeon. These shamblers hit hard, and they're immune to bleeds, and they're usually packed in with those pesky druids. Having a shaman with Tremor Totem is incredibly powerful here, but if you don't have one, you can try your best to interrupt the sleep spells. Don't get greedy and make the best use of your group's crowd control. Continue to fight your way through the cavern. You'll come along these non-elite plant creatures. Use what AU you have, but be warned they can spam an annoying cleave attack. While not especially dangerous on their own, in a group of 5 they can quickly body a cloth wearer if the healer isn't ready. Fight through some more and you'll reach the Winding Chasm. This maze-like area can confuse the hell out of a new player, but don't worry, I got your back. At the first junction, bang a left and head up the little hill. Whittle down the trash packs here and keep your eyes open, because this is the spawn point for the rear boss of the dungeon. The Deviant Fairy Dragon is a simple, low armor, high damage boss, but the one it drops is better than a lot of people will have at this point. Slay that dragon and keep working your way into the cave. Bear left here, down a long tunnel, into an open underground cavern littered with outcroppings, candles, and torches. Walking along the left wall, you'll come across the third Fang Lord. Lord Pythas is here, encircled by torches with druids walking in the vicinity. Take out the additional trash and take him out on his own. Grab your gem and press on. Continue to hug the left wall, killing the trash as you go. You'll reach a fork eventually with spires of rock in the center. Bear left again, you'll see wind serpents flapping about among the rocks. These are the last creatures needed for the quest Deviant Eradication, so take no prisoners. Head straight through these rocky spires, killing serpents along the way, and eventually you'll happen upon the giant thunder lizard inside a fence named Skunk. Like most of the bosses here, he's pretty easy. His only notable ability is his chain lightning attack. Make sure to spread out to avoid damage and he'll drop like a rock. He's not an objective for any quests, but the dagger he drops is fantastic for rogues and warriors at this level. As you walk back out of the fence, bear left and continue on. You'll fight through a tunnel and eventually reach another junction. Again, bear left here and fight your way through. You'll eventually reach an area called the Crag of the Everliving, with a cliffside on the right, accentuated by a graceful waterfall. Here lies one of the sneakiest and dirty beginner's traps in the game. While a new player is mesmerized by the incredible view and enchanting waterfall, they usually don't realize they're about to walk off the edge of a huge hidden cliff, incurring a ton of fall damage and confusing the absolute hell out of them. Falling here means you're nearly back at the beginning of the dungeon, making you again walk through the maze of catacombs and switchbacks. If this happens to you, don't worry. If one of your groupmates doesn't offer to jump down and lead you back, you can at the very least follow the trail of corpses to jog your memory. Don't fall for it again. This time, jump! Continue through the cavern, head straight, and eventually you happen upon the fourth and final Fang Lord for your quest, Lord Serpentis. He's a little different than the others, in that for some reason he's a huge Jim Morrison fan,
I am the Serpent King. I can do anything.
But he dies just as fast as his friends. Loot the 4th gem, and voila, quest complete. After him, you'll probably have noticed the 50-foot tall dude standing in the corner. Don't let his size fool you, he's pretty easy. His most notable ability is Grasping Vines, which knock you down and root you in place for 10 seconds. Just remember to stay back if you're ranged, and he'll go down pretty easy. After he dies, you'll discover you're standing in front of an alcove in the wall. Jump into the alcove, fall all the way down, and swim out. You'll by now realize you're back at the very first cave opening of the instance. Don't get too comfortable now, you're not done. This is where the difficulty of the dungeon takes a massive spike. Remember the disciple of Nerlex? Well, when you talk to him after the 4 Fanglords have been killed, he gives you the option to start an escort event. This is the final crescendo of the instance, and one that doesn't come easy, so get yourself ready and start the event. Like most escorts in vanilla WoW, he walks twice as slow as your average Walmart shopper, so be patient. He'll stop at certain points and begin channeling a spell, imploring you to protect him while he cleanses the caverns. It's at this point that elite snakes will spawn and immediately start to attack him. Hopefully you heeded my previous advice and cleared this area beforehand. Use every tool at your disposal, slows, stuns, fears, and whatever else. Eventually you'll walk across the far side of the balcony and into a cave. Here, laying on top of the altar, is Nerlex himself, squirming in an inescapable nightmare. The disciple will again begin to channel, this time doing his best to save his master. This is where things get really difficult, but with some coordination and teamwork, you'll persevere. First, a group of elite snakes will spawn, and immediately go for the disciple. Like before, focus your fire on one at a time and keep the others crowd controlled as best you can. The next wave will be several non-elite slimes that slowly emerge from the fetid water and engage the group. Use what AoE you can to burn them down as fast as possible, as the worst is yet to come. In the small reprieve you get here, do your best to regenerate mana and health, because eventually the final boss of the instance will make his presence known. As if normal murlocs weren't frightening enough, Mutanus the Devourer, a giant albino murloc, will ascend from the deeps. He's a level 22 elite, has a ton of HP, and hits incredibly hard. To make matters worse, your party will most likely not be at full strength, having just fought 2 waves of enemies beforehand. His first ability is like a thunderclap on steroids, not only doing a lot of damage but stunning everyone close to him for 2.5 seconds. The next ability is Terrify, causing a random party member not at the top of the aggro list to flee for 4 seconds. His last ability is the most crippling. Nerlex's Nightmare is an ability that he'll use that can incapacitate anyone not at the top of the aggro list for as much as 15 seconds. This counts as a charm as well as a stun, so it can be the kiss of death if you're already struggling. Damage does break this effect, so bopping your party member while he's charmed can be pretty clutch, but in the heat of battle it can be hard to remember. This is where having an off healer can be a lifesaver. As you can see here, my feral druid buddy popped out of form to help me keep everyone alive, even though he eventually succumbed to the nightmare himself. In the end, it was lucky that my group had 2 very competent mages that managed to trade aggro and kite, while I did my best to keep them alive with what little mana I had left. It's important to note here that if your group wipes, Mutanus will immediately attack the disciple, and with no way of defending himself, will quickly die as well. When the disciple dies, Mutanus will despawn, and your group will have no way of summoning him again. If you want another shot, you must leave the instance, reset, and try again. Keep in mind, if you do this, you'll again have to kill the 4 Fanglords to access the escort, something that will be a pretty hard sell to a group, especially if you're in a pug. Essentially, you've got 1 shot to take this boss out, so the pressure's on. Your rewards for killing him, however, are some of the best of the game at this point. A ring, cloth shoulders, and a male chest piece, all of rare quality, have the chance of dropping. Along with this loot, he also drops an item that starts a quest. The quest, called the Glowing Shard, is pretty much free XP and a nice little reward for downing this boss. You'll simply need to talk to Sputter Valve and Ratchet. He's standing under a small tent beside the Flight Master. He'll tell you to talk to Fala Sagewind, a Tauren NPC that's at the top of the same mountain that houses the entrance to the Wailing Caverns. She'll in turn direct you back to Hamel Rune Totem and Thunderbluff, who will reward you with a choice of cloth shoulders or male boots, as well as a hefty chunk of XP. And there you have it, guys. If you manage to tackle this dungeon and come out on the other side, congratulations, it's a tough one. I hope this guide helped your party navigate this sometimes tricky dungeon, and if you manage to take down Mutanus, pat yourself on the back, because that's a very underrated feat. I look forward to bringing you more guides like this in the future. I know how much I would have loved to have a helping hand like this back in the day. God knows there's parts of my soul still stuck inside the winding chasm, doomed to run in circles like hapless idiots for all eternity. If you like this video, hit that like button and subscribe. I know I might not have direct access to the hottest classic WoW news or any especially groundbreaking content, but I make up for it with my unwavering love and passion for this game and the desire to create that love in the hearts of the people that check out my content. As always, guys, I am Skunk Monkey. Thank you so much for stopping by, and I'll catch all you classic fans on the next one. Peace.